Bhavesh, good morning.
Good morning.
We just swung by the new CloudDart office. Looks like a dream come true.
Thank you. It took a lot of hard work to get here and a lot of time.
Wow, that sounds like an interesting story. Would you like to tell us?
Sure, hop right in.
So Bhavesh, talking about the start, it must be really scary to handle a business, especially one you bootstrap.
Absolutely. Bootstrapping a business has its own, advantages and disadvantages. But I highly encourage people to kind of think to bootstrap their businesses and startups. So absolutely, I think it's been a great journey, and I'll highly encourage people to do that.
So moving ahead, in this context, aspiring entrepreneurs often seek guidance from experienced leaders like yourself. So, could you please share the top 5 things no one tells you before starting a business?
Top 5 things. Okay. I'll try my best. I'm not sure if we can concise into just 5 things, but I'll try my best to tell you the top 5 things that come to my mind about starting a business, for sure.
Okay, so let's begin. What's the first thing one should be aware of?
I would say that a lot of people that start a business don't realize that there are so many functions in a startup, right? Like for example, you could be a very successful software developer or a very successful architect or a very successful salesperson, and then you feel like, okay, let's start my own business because I'm doing so well in my job. But as soon as you start your business, you realize that compared to a job where you are just doing one function, startup requires you to don multiple hats from day one, right? So if you are a salesperson, now not only you have to do sales, but also accounting, also technology, also human resources, hiring, recruitment, retention, right? So just be aware that startup will make you do a lot of things, which is multitasking, right? You'll have to multitask all the time. You'll have to make sure that you learn, that you are eager to learn to do new things that you haven't done. Like, I never looked at a balance sheet before I started my company, CloudDart, but had to very quickly learn to read balance sheets. I'd never done an audit with the CA. I'd never done sales actually before, right? And so all these things you have to learn on the job, and you should be ready to learn all the time and excel at things that you haven't done so far in your life.
That's true, Bhavesh. It looks like you have undertaken multiple roles in the process. So I would like to ask, what's the second thing here?
Right. So the second thing is it takes time and devotion to build your startup. So I've just brought you to our first office here. You can see they've not taken up the board yet. Probably you can see the old logo, washed out logo over there. And it was a very small office, probably 4 or 5 people could sit there at one point, right? That's all, and that's where we started. So if you look at the startups, right, that is in the news, you will always find startups who become a unicorn in a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year time period, right? Oh man, this startup became a unicorn in just 2 years. And that happens, right? And there are some really smart people, and they are also extremely lucky. But for most startups, right, the chance of you becoming a unicorn in just 1 or 2 or 3 years or ever is pretty remote. It requires a lot of time, a lot of patience, a lot of hard work over a sustained period of time to make your startup successful. You can't, if you are thinking of, okay, I'll just do this for a year and I'll make it big and I'll exit, that's usually not how most startups behave, right? That's very rare. So I think it takes a lot of time, a lot of devotion. You have to give a lot of personal sacrifices as well of your time. You're working on the weekends, you're working at night, you are sacrificing the time with your family, with your parents. You're not putting time on yourself. You're not enjoying like how your other friends are, right? You have to let go of some weddings and events with your family, right? With your friends. So I think overall it takes just be ready. If you are starting a company, be ready that for the next 3 to 4 years of your life, you are not going to have a lot of time for yourself to enjoy your life, to enjoy with your family. You have to be dedicated. You have to be ready to invest that kind of time and energy into your startup.
Oh wow, A lot goes into founding a business with these many sacrifices that may come along one's way. What else can a novice entrepreneur learn?
I think that you have to keep learning all the new things that you haven't done before: sales, marketing, operations, HR, and all that. But for entrepreneur, one thing that I think I didn't know, at least when I started, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, is cash flow. So like a lot of entrepreneur, or a lot of you who wants to be entrepreneur, I also had a job. I worked for companies like Amazon and Microsoft for 11 years before I started CloudThat. And when you're working, you have a job, money is just coming in every month, right? In terms of salary, you are sure that the money is going to hit the bank, and the cash flow is kind of consistent. But once you become an entrepreneur, right, your instincts is to put all the money back into the business. So for the first 2 to 3 years of CloudThat's foundation, I did not even take a salary, right? I was just living off my savings, and and a lot of entrepreneurs I have met have also done that. But also when your companies become successful, right, and you have cash in the bank, a lot of times entrepreneurs' instincts will be to reinvest that money back into the business. So what starts happening is that your personal cash flow as an entrepreneur will always be strained, right? Because whatever you're earning, you're putting back into the business. Whatever, and you don't feel like taking very large salaries, because you feel like you are hindering the growth of your company by taking out a lot of money from the company. So I think cash flow is very important, and that's personal cash flow, but also the cash flow for an organization, to make sure that you have enough money to keep running the company, to keep successfully growing the company, is something that unfortunately nobody teaches you, and something you have to learn. So I'll probably say that all the entrepreneurs, if you want to be entrepreneur, be ready that for the next many years of your life, you will always feel like your cash flow is strained personally, and also you have to keep managing the cash flow. Every month you need enough money to be able to pay the salary. So that becomes a very integral part of your life. That becomes something you end up investing a lot of time and energy into. Alright, so we are here at the new office, our current office. So let's go in.
So Bhavesh, is there anything else an entrepreneur need to keep in mind?
Absolutely. The next point I would probably like to share is that you have to be ready for a lot of failures, a lot of rejections, a lot of self-doubt that you yourself have on your own idea, on your own ability, a lot of doubt that people will have on your ability. So overall, you have to be very resilient and be confident about your abilities. If you take some of the biggest startups, the most successful startups in the world, Airbnb, Uber, in India, things like Flipkart, none of these founders went to the first investor and got funding, right? None of these founders had success from the get-go, right? They had to struggle, they had to believe in their ideas, put a lot of money into their ideas, and then they got funding, they got recognition. So I think next battle that you have is of rejection and failures, and you have to have this battle with the world, but also with yourself, because there are a lot of times where you will doubt your own capabilities and your own ideas of whether your startup is worth it or not. And it's a really crucial battle to win to be able to be successful. Okay, so before you ask the next question, let's go to my cabin.
What's the next important thing that you would like to highlight, especially when you get to the top?
So, as an entrepreneur, you are founder of a company, you are most likely a CEO or a CXO in the organization. It's going to be lonely at the top. So you can imagine that most of my good friends I've had when I was working for other companies were my co-workers. And you go out together, you have fun, you have somebody to share your day with or your frustrations with. But when you are the CEO, when you are the founder, then you don't really have somebody that you can share your day-to-day or your sorrows or your fears with, right? And sometimes it is really lonely to be in that situation. I have since then I have joined. I've been lucky enough to be gotten an admission into Stanford Seed program, which is only for entrepreneurs. So in my cohort, there were about 50 entrepreneurs. Totally, the Stanford Seed network is about 250, 300 entrepreneurs. So when I meet them, definitely I feel more energized and I feel that there's somebody that I can discuss with. But generally speaking, for most entrepreneurs, because we work so hard, we are working all the time, we don't have time for friends and family, and at work, again, everybody is mostly reporting to you, so it's a bit lonely at the top. So that's my last thing, that be ready for that your social life is going to shrink a little bit when you start the company. And I know I have given a lot of things I've mentioned have been challenges, but I also want to end by saying that in spite of all the challenges that you face in your entrepreneurship journey, I think it's one of the most rewarding thing that has happened to me. And if I could go back in time and change, I wouldn't change anything about the entrepreneurship. I would still start CloudThat, I would still be the CEO, and you get a lot of love and respect from your team as well. You feel like you made a difference in a lot of people's life, right? And it's a very fulfilling journey as well. So I would encourage everyone who's thinking out there to be an entrepreneur to plunge in and take the ride.
That is something rarely anyone speaks about. It takes a lot of resilience and courage to start a business, I must say. And what a better way to highlight this on World Entrepreneurs Day.
Absolutely. It's a World Entrepreneurs Day, and I wish all the entrepreneurs out there a very happy Entrepreneurs Day. And the guys who are the future entrepreneurs, I motivate them and I encourage them to plunge in and start this journey. And if you are somebody who wants to be an entrepreneur, or if you have any questions or doubts and you want to talk with somebody, you can find me on LinkedIn, Bhavesh Goswami. I'll probably be the first one that pop up, and please connect with me there, ask your questions. I'll be happy to see how I can help you get onto this journey.
Thanks a lot, Bhavesh, for having me here today.
Thank you for having me. Thanks.